But we're here today because primarily we have Micah Dude, who is our Maker's Mark diplomat for Western Canada in town. So that's Micah. For anyone who don't know. And just to get started, I do want to say thank you to Rob because he's always so gracious about letting us host these events, and in return this allows us to really promote new products and get it out into the market. But it's really great, Rob really helps us, and then we have this incredible bar team over here. We have our incredible servers, we've got our incredible mixologists, and look at them pumping out. Like, you guys, honestly, were not cool. You guys ordered every different drink on that menu that you could possibly find, and then had Jackie make every single one of them back to back. That's how good she is at her job. So, round of applause for Jackie, please. Oh, she loves me right now. Anyways, so you have a dram in front of you, and what we just poured for you is we're going to start off with a brand new bourbon entry into Manitoba. It actually came a little bit earlier than expected. We thought it was going to launch. You guys are familiar with the distinctions events that happen with Manitoba's liquor lotteries every November and March. So what we thought was going to happen, I actually thought this was going to launch in November, and became very, very excited to find out that it was sitting in the stores about a week ago. So I'm like, okay, I'm pulling this up. So, are you all familiar with Basil Hayden?
Yep.
I love Basil Hayden.
Me too.
It's so good. And it came out actually back in 1992 when Booker No was really focusing on releasing small batch bourbons. And one of the things that really resonates with me about Basil Hayden was, if you don't like bourbon, try this. It's got a very, very high rye mash bill, and that's just the Basil Hayden original. What we're trying tonight is the red wine cask. So we're taking all of the splendor and beauty of Basil Hayden, which is the original formula, same aging to it. Now, of course, this bourbon is not non-age statement because I'm not going into science about this. Do I look like a scientist? I'm not a scientist. I'm not that smart. But I can talk bourbon. So what we did, we took this original bourbon, and then we put it in a cask. And we put it in actually an ex-California red wine Cabernet cask. And we aged it for another 1 to 2 years. So you're getting a really, really different profile than what you would typically find when we start doing these kind of fun casking adventures with bourbons as a whole. We see lots of bourbon companies doing this. But I think to have that ex-California cask is really, really cool. So let's give this a try, and I really want feedback. I want to hear what you guys think of this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Here's some feedback.
So you get a spicy hair right at the start, and then that's the rye, and then you get the red wine that, you know, sort of lingers, and that's what gives you the longer finish on it. So it's nice.
Awesome. I'm not telling that to Mike. Anybody else? And then I will vacate the stage, and we're going to pour the next one, which is what this guy wanted. He didn't like the first one, apparently. So, I'll give up the rest of them.
I like cherry blossom.
Okay, I'm going to pour the next one for you guys, okay? All right, so, take that. So, our next expression, due to popular demand in the back, is the Basil Hayden Dark Rye. It has, I mean, I'm pretty sure a few of you guys have had this before. We did highlight this at Whiskey Festival back in March, and we have had it on shelves before. But I'm a really big Basil Hayden fan. So it's kind of nice to bring really unique and really, really different expressions coming from an American whiskey category. But what's really kind of fascinating about this is that for as much as this is the American whiskey category, this is the dark rye, and this rye is not American. This rye is Canadian. So to give you an idea, this comes from Alberta Distillers. And I love to talk about Alberta Distillers. I think some of you have had an opportunity to meet them here in the city. but we have George, and George is our master distiller at Alberta, over at Alberta. George is a Manitoba boy. His wife is from Winkler. They've lived here very, very proudly, and they're very, very proud to call themselves Manitobans. And George also had the opportunity at one point in his life where he was on the distilling team at Maker's Mark. So anytime we start talking about Canadian whiskey, which I will add, we are Canadian people. I would like to know why we are more obsessed with Scotch and American whiskeys and Japanese whiskeys than we are with what is in our own backyard.
Does it taste better?
Because I would say right now, there are 30 million Texans who like our whiskey more than we do. Why is that? We should be loving this. This is coming from us. Nobody can make whiskey the way Canadians can. And I don't care about the frou-frou, la-di-da-di laws, that we should have more laws in place. Who cares? We make really, really good whiskey. Australia loves Canadian club. We should love Canadian whiskey. And I love the fact that we are taking this and we are adding a touch of port to make it really fancy. And we are aging this in the USA. We are aging this in Kentucky. Now what do you guys think of this? Do you love it more? Yes, you should. So feedback. Please tell me, what do you guys think of this whiskey? Bar, like, I mean, let's be honest. You come to Manitoba, you walk up to a bar, you go to any wedding, especially go anywhere in Manitoba, your number one spirit is going to be a vodka. Your number two spirit is going to be a rye, right? The thing is though, is you're not actually consuming like the bare bones of an actual rye whiskey. Ooh, I'm going to trip this one. Okay. You are consuming a Canadian blended whiskey. They're delicious. They've got a little sweet note on them. Not going to knock anybody's Canadian whiskeys. Most of them are really, really good. But they're, for the most part, what we know and love and what we so fondly refer to as a rye really isn't a rye. Like these guys have maybe 5 to 7% rye components in their blends. So this we should really appreciate. This is rye. And this is like the blood. And to do these ryes, like they have like scientists. I've been to this distillery twice. They have scientists in this distillery, and they are working on like enzymes that pull the gluten out of the grain, and it's very, very cool. There's a lot of beautiful work that goes behind this. So I love the fact that it's being shared between two major countries. And I think that shows a big appreciation for what we do.
There's always one.
And I think you guys should all agree with me. Because I think I'm right. Actually, that's really interesting because that's actually part of the descriptors. Like when you're actually researching Basil Hayden and Basil Hayden expressions, that is one of the descriptors to it. Okay.
Are they roasting the rye here?
Yes. Yeah, in Alberta. In Alberta. Yeah, but they are so primarily the grains for Alberta distillers, especially with their vodkas, do actually primarily come from Saskatchewan, and then they kind of segue into the southwest region of Manitoba to pull from that area as well. So we should have a lot of pride in that. Like, you know, we talk a lot about local. This has been local for 75 years. We hit local before local was good. And I'll say that to Rowan in the corner. Anyways, enjoy this last expression. I'm going to call Mike Perdue up because he's way more interesting than I am. He knows way more than I do. And he's way cooler than me when it comes to Mike Perdue. So guys, enjoy this. Thank you so much for everything tonight. And I'm going to bring Mike in and I'm going to start pouring some makers for him.
I get to go down and actually go to Kentucky and make whiskey, which, yes, it's a terrible job, and I won the lottery when I applied, so I beat out 1,200 applications to get this role. So why am I qualified? Other than being ridiculously good looking, which you have to be, of course, right? Just joking. I'm proof that anyone can do this. No. So I've been around the hospitality industry for over 25 years. I've been a spirit educator for just about 15 years now, and I've got to travel the world with flair bartending and cocktailing. I've always learned a lot along the way. So I've taken classes. I remember telling my mom, I got a degree. She goes, yeah? What'd you do? I go, Bacardi University. Yeah, she was like, I thought you said you got a degree. I was like, I did. I got a diploma and everything. Yeah, it wasn't the same. But we get to do a lot of spirit training. And now my role with Maker's Mark is I travel down to the distillery, which is a very small little area in Kentucky called Loretto, Kentucky. There's 1,600 people in the town of Loretto. There's only 5 last names. It's true. There's a phone book, still a phone book. It's this big. And all 5, someone in each one of those 5 families works at the distillery. We have 305 distillery workers working at Maker's Mark. So we are really proud of what we do at Maker's Mark, where we are an agricultural product. It's something very similar, you'll know, from all the great craft distilleries that are right here in the province. And people really care because a huge portion, when we talk about whiskey, when we talk about bourbon, it's not a vodka where we're stripping away the flavor of the grains. You really do want the flavor that's in there. Just like if it's a wine working with your terroir, your bourbon will taste those grains, it'll taste the water, it'll taste the source. And so that leads to really good spirits. So in the world of bourbons, where can bourbon be made? United States. United States is where, by law, bourbon can be made. Majority, and I was like the one who said, I thought Kentucky, that's where bourbon is made. 95% of the distilleries that make bourbon are in the state of Kentucky. Which led me to ask why. Well, Kentucky, there's a natural limestone in the soil. That limestone filters away any hard impurities like iron and adds in calcium and other minerals, which makes it really good source for distilling and turning into spirit. With good water also means very good crops. So at Maker's Mark, we have a unique flavor profile that's created by going, pun intended, against the grain. And what we, I know. I love dad jokes, and that's just right up there. Yeah, right up there. So, against the grain, and we say that this is actually an article, this is the title of an article came out of the New York Times about Maker's Mark saying against the grain. And what they were telling was, at the time, people were used to having American whiskeys, that Wild West, that young cowboy style, where you have like a really big bite, bold, spicy, sometimes harsh flavors would come out of it. And at that time, the flavoring grain that was used was rye. So majority to be a bourbon has to be corn, but then you get this rye, which is a big bite of flavor and sometimes really harsh. And so Bill Samuels Sr., who started making Maker's Mark, had been in the family of making whiskeys for generations. He was actually the 4th commercial distiller. He had used his family's recipe for 170 years. He said, you know what? I don't like it. It's got a bite, there's some bitterness, it blows your ears off. If you've ever heard, oh, this whiskey, it puts hair on your chest. Well, here's the thing, not everyone wants hair on their chest. Sometimes you just want to enjoy a good whiskey.
I do.
Pull someone close to you, okay. Winter is coming. It's cuffing season, I heard. Also known as bourbon season, I heard. So he wanted to make a bourbon that was approachable but full flavored with that beautiful flavor of bourbon, vanilla, caramel, and oaky notes. And he started by baking bread. And instead of using rye grain, he used red soft winter wheat. So we have a majority of 70% corn, 14% malted barley, and 16% red soft winter wheat. That was how we really started making bourbon, is that iconic red wax dip bottle. What we just started with was some delicious bourbons just down the road at James B. Distilling, where you had that wonderful Basil Hayden. Basil Hayden, as Jen was saying, was started by Fred No, who really wanted to bring back that classic bourbon, which had that rye taste. So Basil Hayden is known for having a little softer approach, being at only 40% alcohol, but then having a huge flavor that comes from the rye. So they use 63% corn, 27% rye, and 10% malted barley, which means a really nice contrast of what you're just going to have. So these small batch bourbons that you just had from Basil Hayden, they're delicious, but they're a departure from where we went for with Maker's Mark, because Bill Samuel Sr. wanted something that was soft all by itself. So that's where he created Maker's Mark. Now, may have experienced Maker's Mark. It's been out there for a while. A lot of people have moved on. They've tried other ones. And one of the things I love talking to people about whiskey is sometimes they forget. And when they try that original Maker's, they go, I forgot how good that was. You know? It tastes very comforting, very home. And so they have some great drinks. This is the Peachy Paper Plane. Ooh, very well done, team. That's the bar team's special recipe back there. Very nice. And that accentuates those flavors really softly with Maker's Mark. So for you tonight, I want to do something very special and something that Bill Samuel Sr., when he was alive, if you were down in Loretto and you came to Maker's Mark, said, is it your first time here? You said, yes. And he'll let me go to my collection and get you something special so we can celebrate together. And so at Maker's Mark, we don't age things to a date, we age to taste. So we age to taste, not to time. We are tasting often at Maker's Mark. It's about 6 times in the lifetime before we bottle it, and that's quite often. We do small batch bourbons, but we do them a lot very well. And so Bill would go and get you his favorite, which when he passed away, we continued the tradition on, and we released small amounts of this. It's called Maker's 101. Maker's 101 is the proof level, or the alcohol percentage. So original Maker's Mark is 90 proof, or 45% alcohol. This is slightly higher, at 101 or 50.5. He liked his alcohol a touch stronger than the original. We go into the barrel at 110 proof or 55% alcohol. So this is very close to cask strength, but he liked it with a little bit of water. If you're enjoying this and you're like, ooh, I would like to add a little water, we'd say, just go and get regular Maker's Mark. That already has that water where it's just watered down slightly, there's nothing wrong with it. This is for people who love whiskey and who love that Maker's Mark, and so you're gonna have more weight on your palate, and you're gonna get this lovely flavor. So I'll ask you now to enjoy, to raise a glass in honor of Bill Samuel Sr. Cheers, Bill. Cheers, Bill. Because it was all about getting together, celebrating special occasions, and celebrate with people, with friends, with family, or new friends. And so cheers, thank you. Flavors. Vanilla, cherry, sure, yeah. Is there a good weight on your tongue? Has a good weight, yeah. Is anyone getting a little warm down the chest? I've heard that called the Kentucky hug. You got a Kentucky hug. So this is something that you would enjoy neat on the rocks or in a cocktail if you wanted that full flavor. So this we release in small amounts. So to give you an idea, because I get to work down at the distillery and get to know a lot of the ins and depths of it, last year we did 30,000 cases of Maker's Mark 101. Globally released. This year, it's only 10,000. So it will come back every year. We do it to celebrate Bill Samuel Sr., but it's very limited in how much we pour. So you'll be able to find this limited in the stores come the release. And then once it's gone for the season. The next one we're going to pour, I'm really excited about, is, okay, and this is something special. We wanted to say thank you to being here. Thank you to Rob and the sampling room. So I thought, what better than to pour something that no one's ever had unless you've been to the distillery or been to the States. So you are the very first time you're going to try this in Manitoba, in Winnipeg. This is the very first time. This is coming, but it's not here yet. So is anyone here from the liquor board? Perfect. Okay. I mean, I got it. Super. So you can. I mean, I don't have this.
Put your phone down. Put your phone down.
So yeah, no photos here. So I'll be coming around, pouring Maker's Mark cask strength, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about it, and you can try compare it to those wonderful flavor notes that you have from that 101. And it's not a law, it's something that we do unique at Maker's Mark, is that once we pour it inside the barrel, you have to use a brand new American oak charred barrel. Why brand new? Because you get the most impact. So that's by law for all bourbons. And what we do is when you put it inside the barrel, we say at Maker's Mark, you have to put it at the top 3 stories of our warehouses. The reason being, the top is like your attic. It's the hottest. So you have the most extreme temperatures up there. It gets hot, it gets cold. Kentucky is wonderful because we have beautiful fluctuations in our temperatures. So we get a lot of interaction. So we put it in the top 3 stories of our warehouse. Yes?
Does the proof increase?
The proof can increase, absolutely, yeah. So once it's been up there for 3 Kentucky summers, we taste it again, and then we rotate it by hand. Rotate it by hand. To our knowledge, we're the largest distillery that still today rotates our barrels by hand. So if it had a lot of interaction where we're happy with that, we'll move that more to the ground floor. If it hasn't had the same interaction we were looking for, we'll move it more towards the middle. And so we hand rotate our barrels for consistency and quality to make sure that every barrel is generally the exact same as the other ones in the warehouse. So typically we dump and we add in, we re-gauge with that desired water amount to bring it to the actual alcohol percentage that we're having. So if that's in the original 45%,
10 years
we
ago.
drop it down 10%.
Oh, we just got?
It's in the case of what you just had, Maker's Mark 101.
Oh, no, that's all good. Thank you.
We would drop that down
Everybody's got right.
just slightly, 4.5%. This one is the exact cask. If you were, this is the closest, if we were down in Kentucky together, and we went into the warehouse, and we opened up, took out the bung from the bunghole, say that 3 times fast, then we'd feed out that delicious liquid inside, and that would give us our cask strength. So it's a non-chill filter, just like all the other makers. The only filter is it goes through a mesh straight, and that collects some of the char of it. So this is that full strength. In the world of the culinary world, I would say this is your mother's sauce. This is the base of where it all starts. So this is, for the very first time in Canada, the time that you're getting to try it here, and this will be released November 4th. And I think they're talking about retail, it's going to be about between $90 and $100 a bottle. $99.99. Double great one. Double great one. And you miss 100% of the shots you don't take it.
A little bit easier to drink.
A lot of shots and you miss all the time.
You still miss. Yeah, fair. All right. So when sampling straight cask strength, here's a neat little tidbit I learned down in Kentucky. So you want to chew your bourbon. So number 1, you want to nose it. So open up your mouth while you smell the whiskey. Open up your mouth while you smell the whiskey. Why? Because it allows the flavors and aromas to go into your nasal cavity and then flow over your mouth if your mouth is open. If you close it, it traps it in your nasal cavity and can overwhelm your senses a little too much. And then when you taste it, take a sip and coat your mouth and chew. So keep your mouth closed, but chew with your teeth. What you're doing is you're mixing with your saliva. And it's breaking down that alcohol, coating your mouth, and then swallow and exhale those high vapors, and then enjoy that lingering flavor. The neat thing that I really love about doing a sampling or tasting like this is doing that 101 compared to our cask strength. That's at 111 proof. This one, you ask, can it go higher than 110? Yes, this is 111. So typically we can increase about 2 proof or 1 percentage point. Is typically what you can find. The evaporation of water or the condensation within inside will change the entry level on our cask strength. So what we're drinking right now in your glass, this is 55%, 55.5, or that 111 proof.
Yeah, it's got like thick fruit, like plum.
It's not. No, the overbalance. I'm changing my palate. I'm not sure yet. I would like to try it again.
I find this one really full in your mouth. There's a lot more body. Some people say that you get more sweetness from it, surprisingly.
I'll
Is
run
anyone
out
like
of
that?
this.
Really interesting, man. Yeah, right up top. And so this is something at Makers that's unique to us because of all the things we do. We do barrel rotation. We age our wood longer before we make the barrels. And that's to take out tannins, to take out some bitter notes. So you have even more of just the essence of those grains and that wood. So you're getting elevated, you're getting really true flavors of vanilla, caramel, and oaky notes. Vanilla, caramel, and oaky notes. That should be the really profound notes that you're getting out of it. And this is from not using that rye grain. Not using different casks to finish it in. That's what Makers was always known for, was having that true bourbon of vanilla, caramel, oak. When you're doing training, when it comes to whiskeys, they use American oak, brand new barrels. And when you soak wood in alcohol, American white oak in alcohol, we get flavor compounds in chemistry that we connect to flavors of vanilla, caramel, and oaky notes. So all bourbons have these flavor notes. Some bourbons, as they go through processes, they'll mute those, or dampen, or subtly they'll blend into other ones. At Makers, we've done everything so that those are our 3 strongest note profiles that you'll get out of it. Now you'll get other flavors out of it. You said cherries, some people, and each one of you, we all have unique taste buds where we associate flavor with foods or aromas and smells that we've had as we've grown up. And so you're going to associate, some people get green apple, some people get peaches, apricots, figs, pears, peach. There's different elements and notes that you'll associate that's very unique to you. So if you're like, I don't get chocolate covered cherries, that's okay. Because someone else has a stronger affinity towards it and they can pull those out. So it's one of my favorite things when we talk about bourbons and we talk about the world of whiskeys. When I get to go down to Kentucky, oh my heavens, there's a whole section of whiskeys and bourbons. Ones that we've never seen in our stores because we don't have the same market for it. So down in Kentucky, there's a whole store, all of just bourbons. And in that store, there'll be a shelf, and it's just for their wheaties. Because Makers was one of the first, but we're not one of the only ones. And so we're making these wheated bourbons that have become more and more popular because people are really enjoying it. So while I'm here, we'll talk about Makers 46. Does anyone know what Makers 46? What makes it unique? What do they do with Makers 46?
Age 46 years.
Close. So the number one thing, yeah. Lots of sticks. So, Makers 46. A lot of people think, is it 46%? No, it's 47. Is it age 46 years? No, it's still original Makers, but we extra age it using French oak that's cooked to wood recipe 46. So you get the American oak barrel, and then you get the introduction of French oak that goes inside. This coats your mouth beautifully, and it flavors, it adds deeper notes of more baking spice and added vanilla. So this in a Manhattan is one of my favorites. In the cigar lounge here, with that wonderful cigar smoke that you're getting, this coats your mouth evenly, and it really adds the enjoyment to a really nice cigar. And that's one of my favorites to enjoy here. On top of that, Rob and this place, they know their drinks. Do you want to try their Burger Week cocktail? How did that Burger Week cocktail go? Because I voted for you guys. That looked good. So they know their stuff here. So Rob actually went out and got something special. Let me go get it for us. Here it says, do not use. Until tonight. Thanks, Rob. Until tonight. So we don't do a single barrel at Maker's Mark because, as I told you, all of the barrels are the same. We work on consistency. So instead of doing a single barrel, I get to take groups down across Canada and we go and make our own Maker's Mark. When Bill Samuels Jr. made Maker's 46 using that French oak cooked to wood recipe 46, that was his favorite. We've also selected 5 different types of wood, cooked different ways, to create its own flavor that you can extract out of Maker's Mark. So out of the barrel, we had 246 bottles, and most of it has been sold off at the Whiskey Fest that we had. But we had 2 that Rob found in the province. So this is Manitoba Liquor Mart, barrel number 8. This one is really unique, and I remember us selecting this one. It has 4 pieces of wood that are American oak, cooked low and slow in the convection oven. And out of the combination, you have 10 pieces of wood that you're using. This one uses 4 of that. In that stave, you're getting some bright green apple. You're getting light pear. It's very hot. It's very front of your tongue. And it has a short finish. But it's also the one stave that oxidizes the most. And so this is a great sipping style because as it sits there in your glass, it evolves and it starts to bring out hints of, I think, maple syrup, as well, we're from Canada and that's what I associate with, but more caramel, like caramel syrup on, Americans always say on ice cream, but I say it's maple syrup. It starts to mellow out and brings out those flavors. Then we have this seared French cuvee, and there's 2 of those staves. The seared French cuvee is French oak that's cooked like a wafer chip, like a potato chip that has the waves in it, and they cook it in an infrared oven. And so it's 2-toned. It's dark on those peaks and light on the valleys. This is a really big texture stave. So I say there's a lot of like creaminess from like bergamot or Earl Grey tea, and so we have that influence. We also have Maker's 46, one of those staves. That gives us this well-rounded, I told you, vanilla, baking spices. Then we have this roasted French Mondial. Roasted French Mondial, the innovation team at Maker's Mark, they wanted to call this stave Cadbury Fruit Nut Bar. They're like, ooh, there's chocolate, there's dried fruits, there's a little bit of nuttiness. And they submitted that, and the legal team said, sorry, what? Yeah, this is like Cadbury Fruit Nut Bar stave. And they said, are you guys nuts? That name is trademarked, you cannot call it that. So they looked up what dessert or what type of food has chocolate, dried red fruits, and some nuttiness. And there's a French dessert called Mondial. And that's what they got out. So there's one of those staves inside. And then they did a toasted French spice stave, and there's 2 of them. And this one has notes of like pipe tobacco, a little bit of leather, a little bit of dark cacao like chocolate, and it's really, really lovely. So in this we have 4 of that baked American spice, 2 of the French cuvee, 1 46, 1 roasted French Mondial, and 1 toasted French, or 2 toasted French spice. This is really, really delicious. And I can tell you, there's not many bottles left because it did do really well. We have 2 here, and Rob's agreed to put this for $10 for an ounce. So, just for you guys. What I will say is I've done the selection with the team at Manitoba Liquor Mart, and we have number 9 and number 10 coming out at Whiskey Fest. So right now, it's resting in the limestone cellar, and one of them is my favorite, and I won't tell you until after Whiskey Fest, but they're both unique. One is good, and one is very good, but there's also a whiskey for everybody. So what I like may not be your favorite as well. But it's really unique within the province of Manitoba for us to do it, and that's only thanks to the people that are here and those people outside that love whiskeys, learning about whiskeys. I love the diversity. I love the conversations. I hope you enjoyed the ones you tasted tonight. Yeah. There were some really unique ones. But at the same time, if it wasn't your favorite, that's okay. There's some great selections out there. It really is. It really is. I love talking about spirits. I love learning the deep dive of whiskeys. I love sharing it with people that love whiskeys and whiskey cocktails. We get spoiled with the amount of talent, but that's only because of the people in this room like you who ask for it, who are inquisitive about it, who say, tell me why you use that. What are those flavor notes? I get to go across this beautiful country and talk to the hospitality, talk to people who are working in the street, and we're creating cocktails, and without you, we couldn't do what we do, because then we're just talking to the wall. So I want to thank you very much for being here. Thank you for enjoying some wonderful spirits with us. Thank you to the team for making some wonderful cocktails. I hope we're going to enjoy the evening, enjoy some of these fantastic cigars that Rob and the team know how to pair with our spirits. And we're going to have some live music, and we're going to keep going. And I really want to say thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Mike.
Anyways, I just wanted to plug something actually, because we are very, very much in whiskey season right now. Next week, next Thursday, November 2nd, we are actually, for I think one of the first times ever, have had really good access to the Distinctions launched brands. So all the things that you are not going to see launched until Distinctions, you're going to have an opportunity to try. So if you didn't get a chance to get a ticket from the MBLL, which is a $40 ticket, we have, well, I'm pretty sure we sold about 10 in the first half hour, but we have about 50 tickets, probably 40 tickets left available at Mona Lisa. I am cracking open a 30-year-old Bourbon. Yeah. And I'm also going to be opening up 2 Lafroigs that are brand new to market that have not been seen before. I'm opening up a brand new Yamazaki bourbon blend. And then I'm also going to be opening up a brand new 15-year-old sherry casked Canadian whiskey. So that's going to be next week. And what's kind of nice about this one, there's actually going to be really delicious food involved as well. So that'll be at Mona Lisa next week about 6:30, 7 o'clock, next November 2nd. So reach out to Mona Lisa if you guys are interested in tickets.